that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and to the service of our great imperial family to which we all belong.
In a way, I didn't have an apprenticeship. My father died much too young, and so it was all a very sudden kind of taking on and making the best job you can. It's a question of accepting the fact that here you are and it's your fate.
The House of Windsor, as we know it today, began in 1917 when the family changed its name from the German Saxe-Coburg-Gotha. Queen Elizabeth's grandfather, King George V, was the first Windsor monarch, and today's working royals are the descendants of King George and his wife, Queen Mary. Below follow the line of succession and explore the many branches of the family over which the Queen presides. King George V, 1865 to 1936. The grandson of Queen Victoria, and grandfather to Queen Elizabeth, George V was born third in the line of succession and did not expect to become king. That changed after his elder brother Prince Albert Victor died in 1892. George ascended the throne after the death of his father in 1910, serving as King of the United Kingdom and Emperor of India until his death in 1936. Queen Mary, 1867 to 1953. Queen Elizabeth's grandmother Queen Mary was royal by birth. Her great-grandfather was King George III. When Elizabeth Alexandra Mary, the elder daughter of Prince Albert, Duke of York, and his wife, Lady Elizabeth Beauce-Lyon, was born on April 21, 1926, she apparently had little chance of assuming the throne, as her father was a younger son of King George V. But in late 1936, her uncle, King Edward VIII, abdicated to marry an American divorcee, Wallis Simpson. As a result, her father became King George VI, and 10-year-old Lilibet, as she was known within the family, became the heir presumptive to the throne. Queen Elizabeth II served from 1952 to 2022 as reigning monarch of the United Kingdom, England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland, and numerous other realms and territories, as well as head of the Commonwealth, the group of 53 sovereign nations that includes many former British territories. Extremely popular for nearly all of her long reign, the Queen was known for taking a serious interest in government and political affairs, apart from her ceremonial duties, and was credited with modernizing many aspects of the monarchy. In September 2015, Elizabeth surpassed the record of 63 years and 216 days on the throne set by Queen Victoria, her great-great-grandmother, to become the longest reigning British monarch in history. In February 2022, Elizabeth celebrated her Platinum Jubilee, marking 7 decades of her service to the Commonwealth. Though she spent much of her childhood with nannies, Princess Elizabeth was influenced greatly by her mother, who instilled in her a devout Christian faith as well as a keen understanding of the demands of royal life. Her grandmother, Queen Mary, consort of King George V, also instructed Elizabeth and her younger sister Margaret in the finer points of royal etiquette. Educated by private tutors, with an emphasis on British history and law, the princess also studied music and learned to speak fluent French. She trained as a Girl Guide, the British equivalent of the Girl Scouts, and developed a lifelong passion for horses. As Queen, she kept many thoroughbred racehorses and frequently attended racing and breeding events. Elizabeth's famous attachment to Pembroke Welsh Corgis also began in childhood, and she owned more than 30 corgis over the course of her reign. Elizabeth and Margaret spent much of World War II living apart from their parents in the Royal Lodge at Windsor Castle, a medieval fortress outside London. In 1942, the King made Elizabeth an honorary colonel in the 500 Grenadier Guards, a Royal Army regiment. 2 years later, he named her as a member of the Privy Council and the Council of State, enabling her to act on his behalf when he was out of the country. In 1947, soon after the royal family returned from an official visit to South Africa and Rhodesia, they announced Elizabeth's engagement to Prince Philip of Greece, her third cousin. Both were great-great-grandchildren of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert, and a lieutenant in the Royal Navy. She had set her sights on him when she was only 13, and their relationship developed through visits and correspondence during the war. Though many in the royal circle viewed Philip as an unwise match due to his lack of money and foreign, German, blood, Elizabeth was determined and very much in love. She and Philip wed on November 20, 1947, at Westminster Abbey. Their first son, Charles, Prince of Wales, was born in 1948. A daughter, Anne, Princess Royal, arrived 2 years later. Elizabeth and Philip were married for an extraordinary 73 years, until the prince died in April 2021 at the age of 99. With her father's health declining in 1951, Elizabeth stepped in for him at various state functions. After spending that Christmas with the royal family, Elizabeth and Philip left on a tour of Australia and New Zealand, making a stopover in Kenya en route. They were in Kenya on February 6, 1952, when King George VI succumbed to lung cancer at the age of 56, and his 25-year-old daughter became the 6th woman in history to ascend to the British throne. Her formal coronation as Queen Elizabeth II took place on June 2, 1953, in Westminster Abbey. In the first decade of her reign, Elizabeth settled into her role as Queen, developing a close bond with Prime Minister Winston Churchill, the first of 15 prime ministers she would work with during her reign, weathering a foreign affairs disaster in the Suez Crisis of 1956 and making numerous state trips abroad. Perhaps the greatest measure of Elizabeth's success in carrying the House of Windsor into the future will be how it continues on in her absence. Charles, 73, now becomes king, a role he's been groomed for since birth. At his 70th birthday celebration, in November 2018, Elizabeth called him a dedicated and respected heir to the throne to stand comparison with any in history, and a wonderful father. Visit our social media for more videos like this. Or visit our website www.selicaie.com.